Let's get coding and let's get started with the basic. We need to set up our Raspberry Pi. The first step is to flash our Pi, and I know that a lot of you are experienced developers that done this step a lot of times, so feel free to skip to the next chapter. For everyone else, just use the Raspberry Pi image flashing tool, which is available for all major platforms and processor types. And of course, it is free and safe and so on. So download it, install it and run it. And then the only thing you have to do is to select the Raspberry Pi model you want to flash, select operating system, select the SD card you want to use. Be sure not to select your SSD. Then you're able to do some exploration like username, password, Wi-Fi and so on. This is all up to you what you want to enter or what not. After all this manual work, the program will download the image, flash it to the SD card, and more important, verify it so that everything is installed properly on the SD card and the Raspberry Pi should boot up without any problems. After the success alert shows up, you can remove the SD card safely from the computer and put it into your Raspberry Pi. And if the Pi booted up, you can connect to it using your preferred SSH client and the username password you provided. The next part is to install .NET on the Raspberry Pi itself. Yes, in the past this was a quite difficult task with a lot of configuration file fiddling and so on, but nowadays it is a one-liner that you can run and execute using the SSH connection you just opened. The installation script returned a success. We have to set some paths, but this is also very simple because it's again copy pasting, and if we done this, we are able to verify at least the installation using the .NET version command, which is also stated in the rather elaborated on Microsoft Learn. To actually develop our program, we need an IDE, or in this case an editor. In my case, it's Visual Studio Code because it's free and it provides all the functionality we need to develop on or with our Raspberry Pi. And of course, it's available for all major platforms and again for all major CPU types. After downloading and starting it, we should check if all required extensions are installed, which are on a clean install, probably not. To develop for our Raspberry Pi but not on our Raspberry Pi, we need the remote SSH extension, which allows us to connect with our host Visual Studio, with our powerful host machine, to the Raspberry Pi itself and work on the Raspberry Pi, but we don't need to leave our beloved host system, which we have all the goodies are installed. And as the name says, this extension is SSH based, and so we also need to log in using our previous created SSH credentials. After they log in, we are greeted with a new Visual Studio Code window, which we should maximize to get more out of it. Because we are on a brand new Visual Studio instance on a remote system, we need to check and install all required extensions again. This time not the SSH remote extensions, but the C# devkit extension. Now we can create a new root directory for all our sources. Let's call it sources, and then we are ready to create our own or our next Blinkt C# project, which is just a console program. After giving the wizard all the information it requires, and after a little bit of waiting time, we are ready to start our very own, very first .NET project on the Raspberry Pi. And if you see, and as you can see, this is a standard .NET project, the same thing as you run .NET New on any other device you own. In this case, hello world. Now it's time for the fun part in this video. We are going to light up some LEDs. And because I'm a software guy and not a hardware guy and my soldering skills are not that great, we're simply using the Pimoroni Blinkt head, which has 8 dimmable and multicolor LEDs on it. The great thing with Pimoroni is that everything is open source. So we can use the original Blinkt Python SDK or program as a starting point for Copilot to create our very own C#.NET based Blinkt sample controller. To get this started, we are opening a new Copilot session, selecting the agent mode and providing a rough description what the Copilot should actually do. Of course, we are including the link to the Python file from GitHub. Now let's play and hope that the Copilot magic will do its thing. One of the biggest benefits of GitHub Copilot in the agent mode is it guides you through the process of developing the solution with all the steps it requires, like adding dependencies, writing the controller itself, or creating samples to demonstrate the capabilities of the created controller. And after giving the AI some time, we are greeted with a working solution for our problem. It looks okayish, to be honest. Yes, of course, I would structure this source a little bit different or name properties otherwise, but for the sake that we did not write any line of source for this program, this is a really, really good achievement, isn't it? And yes, to satisfy my inner monk, I asked the AI to add some comments, restructure this source a little bit and so on. But please look at these lines of source. This looks beautiful, doesn't it? And yes, I have no idea why we are sending some bits there and FF there and 00 there. Do I really need to know? This is a question that is not easily to answer. But for this case, I do not bother with it and I just wanna play around with it. So the time has come. We are finally launching our Blinkt.net 9 controller thingy with some samples on it. Letting it build one more time and putting on some sunglasses because the LEDs are really, really bright. And hey, yes, it blinks red, green, blue, and after a while it always shows a rainbow, which algorithm I do not understand, but hey, we are living in the Copilot times, don't we? Isn't it an awesome moment if you see anything light up with your digital code? I feel this is a really, really rewarding end of our solution of our video. And of course, you can check out the source on GitHub. I hope that all demonstrates that Raspberry Pi and .NET 9 and Copilot are a dream team, and I cannot wait to create my next own little project.